first time in a long time. And the topic of discussion for this live is going to be just my trips and travels over the past few months, things I've learned, things I've seen, and just my overall thoughts. So, in the past month since my last login, I have traveled to a number of places. And on my voyage, I've been through Asia, then also Latin America, and through the Americas as well. Most notably, Hawaii. I've also traveled through South Korea, Thailand, and then I've also been in a very popular Latin country that I'll talk about later in this video. But one thing I've seen over the past year actually is that I like to comment on is relations with Americans and then other countries. One of the things that has changed over the past year or so with regards to relations of American citizens, or better worded, citizens from the United States of America, is that with the change of guard, so to speak, at the highest level, there has been, for some, a bit of a backlash. And the reason for that, of course, as we know from a political standpoint, with the tariffs and other political changes and engagements with the person that's in charge in the United States of America and his interaction with a lot of different countries. As you've been seeing, he's been inviting so many different figureheads of various countries to include to the Oval Office, to include the Filipino president, the also president for Saudi Arabia, and then also in addition to that, Ukrainian president, and verbal engagements with the president of Mexico, Canada, the prime minister of Canada, and then also Vladimir Putin. In engagement with these big figureheads of these countries, there's been a focus, as the president Donald Trump is focused on, is to stimulate the economy by charging other countries various taxes for use to come to America or to do business with American citizens or American organizations and America at large. But that has affected America in a negative way, because a lot of people are looking at America like, well, you guys are making things hard. The whole immigration issue, where people who have been previously allowed to be in the United States are being told that they have to leave under the new regime. And that has affected individuals that are American citizens going and traveling around the world. So you get more looks. You get people like, hey, what's going on with the orange Cheeto, or what is, what's going on here? Why is there so much issues? And really, as a traveler, I really don't got an answer for that. I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, every political party has their belief about how things should go, and this guy, he has his beliefs. His whole thing is America first and bringing back and stimulating the economy, and he feels that the way to do that is to make things more exclusive, for lack of a better word. I really don't get into politics too much, only because there's so many things that are shown for the average person to see, and then you have a backstory, or what's talked about behind closed doors, and we're not all privy to the backdoor discussions. So therefore, I feel when it gets to political engagement outside of social matters that are very prevalent and obviously affecting me and then other people, like the so-called immigrants, I don't really think it's healthy to get into too much of a discussion, because there's always a truth behind that, a truth that's shown, truth that is not shown, and it's better to not really get too deep in the weeds with that. But I bring all this up because as a traveler, someone that's traveling, you will unfortunately have people who are maybe looking at you one way or the other because of where you're from. And so that's something to be mindful of, as it can impact how you're treated. So I spoke on a number of different places I've traveled to over the past couple months. First off, I'd like to discuss is Hawaii. Hawaii is 51st state in the United States. It is a magnificent place to visit. Is also one of the places I was actually looking to move to, because it's such a great history there with the Polynesian people, the Hawaiian people, and their assalamu alaikum, their assalamu alaikum, Richie, their history with the United States, and with the last queen there, and how they've held on to their culture, their rich history, their rich culture. Actually, these beads I got from one of the luhas there in Hawaii back in June, and it was definitely an amazing experience to feel that mana energy, that I actually got acquainted with that terminology from a very famous actor. I think everybody knows him, The Rock. And when I went to that part of the world, it was really, really refreshing. I don't really know why. Maybe it's like a vortex there or an energy field there. But when I was in Hawaii, specifically Honolulu, I really enjoyed the natural aspect of things. I felt like it wasn't that much pollution there, just in the air and so forth. I don't know how the emission standards are there, but it felt very clean, and for lack of a better word, and also it was a good time to be at the various beaches that they had. The Waikiki Beach, which is one of the more popular beaches. This is where the Waikiki area is where a lot of tourists that come into Honolulu go to, and you have I actually have on my Instagram Motivational Movements a video where I'm on the beach and I'm just filming the beachfront area, and it's so beautiful. You have the hotels all around the beach area, and then you have the beach chairs. You can sit out and really just soak in the sun and just feel that energy, that mana energy that a lot of Hawaiians talk about, and it is an amazing, amazing feeling. It's actually one of the best places I've been to in the United States, other than Puerto Rico. People are pretty friendly, and it's a really, really cool experience to see the locals once you get away from the Waikiki area and go to the north part of the island of Honolulu, and then when you start to interact with the locals, when the vendors selling their food out on the roads, and then the other beaches there, you really get to see that aloha vibe and spirit in full force. And one of the things is they have Hawaii is a pretty expensive place, but I remember I was on the road and I bought it was like 20, 25 bucks, a big plate of fruit, and it was really, really good. I enjoyed it. I think the fruit was much more fresher than, let's say, where I'm from in the Mid-Atlantic region, outside of, let's say, we can go to the farmer markets and so forth. It was one of probably the best fruit place I've ever had in my entire life. Literally, no cap. I mean, it was really, really good. Also, if you are a coffee connoisseur, the coffee they have there in Hawaii is some of the best in the world. There's various spots, particularly if you go to the north part of the island, where you can get some really good, really, really good coffee. Surfing is very popular in Hawaii, and so if you are a surfer, you definitely have to make a trip to Hawaii. I know a lot of people on the East Coast, if they're a surfer, they go to a city called Recon in Puerto Rico, which is very popular. But Hawaii has some of the, from what I'm word of mouth, that is, some of the best waves that one could get, and if you are into surfing, you will definitely like it there. Have I ever tried Luwak coffee? I'm not too familiar with that coffee, so I'm not sure. But I would probably be interested in trying it. I gotta check it out. Where is Richie? Where is that does that coffee originate in Hawaii? Yeah, I'd be curious to try that out. But yeah, In addition to that, Hawaii is, as we all know, the history of World War II, right? Pearl Harbor. So in Honolulu is once you get off the airplane, you're about maybe 10, 15 minutes away from Pearl Harbor, where the whole Pearl Harbor incident happened in the early part of the 1940s, and which brought about the United States getting to World War II. It is they have a museum there where you can go check out and learn more about that history that led to the United States of America getting into World War II and the events surrounding the incident in Pearl Harbor. It's really cool, really good to soak up that part of American history as it brings about what brought us to other parts of the world for business and then just overall conquest, like Japan. Hawaii, I think, is a place. I primarily was in Honolulu, but Hawaii is a place that you can really go back several times for the aforementioned reasons, and then also just the fact that it's so many different islands to explore, Maui among others as well. So I definitely would recommend that as a traveler to go check out Hawaii. I would say it's probably the best state in the United States with some of the friendliest people, and then also has great food as well. I just want to make sure that you know, though, Hawaii is a bit expensive. However, it's definitely worth the trip. I would say at least about a week worth of time in Hawaii is a good bet, good way to go, and you can really check out one or two of the islands and really enjoy yourself there and experiencing the aloha vibe. Later on, during my trips of the summer in the past few months, I went to the country of South Korea. South Korea is it's a country in the Far East in East Asia. It houses a number of different cultural aspects to it. For me, I'm into martial arts, so South Korea is known for Taekwondo. Taekwondo is a martial art, is a striking martial art, 70-30, 70% kicks, 30% punches. I've always been interested in visiting South Korea, harkening back to my time when I partook in Taekwondo when I was a youth prior to starting football. And I actually was a part of the Junri Taekwondo faction. And one of the things I was always interested in addition to the martial art Taekwondo, of South Korea, was they have this food. They're very known for like their bimbap, if I'm not mistaken, and it's really good. There's a lot of, as we all know, in the United States, there's a lot of people from South Korea and much parts of Asia, but specifically South Korea, like Koreatown and California and so forth. And they brought with them their dishes, which has been incorporated into American cuisine as a whole. Of course, America having a mixture of different international cuisines that's considered American food, Italian food, Korean food, Japanese food, etc. And they're all incorporated as an American dish. But bimbap, I've always liked bimbap, and I had to go there and try that. Also, I was in the military, and one time when I was there, me and a friend years ago, we he introduced me actually to this drink. It was called soju. Soju is a very popular drink in South Korea, and if I'm not mistaken, it's Gatorade. You can mix it in a number of different ways, but like sort of some alcohol. I don't want to say exactly the alcohol because I don't remember the name, but you can mix it with Gatorade. It's really good, and I went there, and in the past I've tried it, and I was giving a drink that was called soju when I was there. That was really good as well. So that's synonymous with South Korean beverage culture there, similar to how Guinness is in various parts of Western Europe, or tequila is in Mexico. Also, specifically when I was in South Korea, I spent my time in the city of Seoul. Uh, Seoul has a lot of Seoul, but also it has a lot of different activities one can take part in. Most notably for the tourists in mind, the DMZ zone, the demilitarized zone. That's a zone that separates South Korea with North Korea, and from is a popular place that people go check out. You can go see how that division was brought about many years ago between the two different countries, and then also the setup with the officers on one side of the country, on North Korea, and then the officers on South Korea, and learn more about why DMZ is in existence. There's a lot of history to that, and it's a pretty cool experience. Also, when I was in South Korea, I went to a place called Hongdae Street. Hongdae Street is a popular nightlife district. A lot of people go there to hang out, party, check out various clubs and so forth. It's a really cool place to check out. You can go. Also, they have different food, like similar to when you go to most parts of the world, but they have like different vendors where you can try out different food. They seem to have like a lot of meals like kebab and so forth, so like street food, and really good stuff. And you pretty much have everything you would want. So if you are into nightlife, Hongdae Street is a good place to go to when in Seoul. And it has a number of different cool hangout spots. And I actually did a video on this vlog, Hongdae Street, where you can check out the different clubs and bars that I went to. You can get to see a little bit of taste of the nightlife that South Korea has. So it was a pretty cool time. Later on in the summer, after I took care of some business, I went to a place called Mexico. I see you on YouTube, Richie. I see you on YouTube videos. You come to Thailand, of course, you know Indonesia. So yes, Richie, I have gone to Thailand. Yeah, of course I know Indonesia. I always wanted to go to Indonesia. I haven't been yet. I know it has a large Islamic population. In my studies of Islam, I have been interested to check out that country, and specifically, of course, Bali. Everybody knows about Bali. It's on the bucket list. I will make it to Indonesia one day. Definitely a place I would love to check out. Have you been? So later on in the summer, after I took care of some business, I went to the country of Mexico. Mexico is the country south of the border of the United States of America. It is a country, Bali. It is a country rich in history, culture, food, and just overall great ambiance. Mexico is a Spanish-speaking country, and when I say history and its rich history, I refer to the Aztec people, the people that dominated the central part of the landmass pre-Columbus, and then also the Mayan people to the south in the Yucatan and then Tabasco area. I've always been interested in Mexico culture because Mexican culture is so infused with the United States of American culture, most notably with great Mexican restaurants such as Taco Bell, and then also, in addition to that, well, I'm joking about the Taco Bell thing, but the food, the tacos and so forth, I've always been interested in trying out different food in Mexico and seeing what other food they have other than tacos, chiquilas, and then also, let's see, the various soups that they have there, and what I later found out as an adult, the various drinks they have there, tequila and the mixtures of the tequila, and then mezcal, which I never even heard of until I came to Mexico, which seemed to be a very popular drink in Mexico, pretty much throughout, whether you're in Mexico City or in the South as well. You know, I've always I'm a history buff. I've always been in history, and one aspect of Mexican culture that I've been interested in for many years is the discovery of the Omaha colossal stoneheads. Omaha colossal stoneheads was a set of large uh, heads that were found in the region of Tabasco, Veracruz area in the 1860s by archaeologists, Mexican archaeologists, 17 in all. And the significance behind these heads is that they uh, bring back a significant part of what's called Mexican history with the Omaha people. Omaha people, some people theorize, some people, there's a number of different theories, but most notably the people originate from Africa because their features, like my features, like wide nose and full lips and broad eyes, and they were considered by many Mexican historians to be the precursors or the progenitors of the cultures that later came after the Omaha, to include the Aztecs, Mayans, etc. And it is, to me, good to see that because it really breaks down the whole pseudoscience belief that people are different when, of course, as we study genealogy, genetics, that we all know, of course, human beings originate from East Africa, specifically Ethiopia, and the human being migration from the center part of the planet, which is Africa, throughout the whole planet, and most notably with these people from East Africa through India, through Asia, then through the land Bering Strait, down to California, and then what's called Mexico right now. So just seeing that aspect of history being shown, it's seeing it with my own eyes. Most notably, I saw it I've seen it at a number of places. Originally, the first place I saw it was in a museum called La Venta in Tabasco in Villahermosa, but also that's one of 17 colossal heads, but also other additional pieces of the colossal heads can be found in the Ciudad de Mexico, in the city of Mexico, in the Museum of Archaeology, if I'm not mistaken. And it's definitely a huge part of Mexican history. It's also, you have one of the heads in Veracruz. Actually, I saw it when I was in Veracruz earlier in the year, and then also going towards Belize. When I went to Belize earlier this year, you can see it when you're going south of Quintana Roo, one of the colossal heads. It is definitely something that I would really like to learn more about, but it is an important part of the history of modern day Mexico. Also, I traveled around a number of different states when I was in Mexico because I've really been interested to learn more about this great culture. I've been to some more crazy places. One with a friend, we went to Tijuana. Then I also in Rosarito Beach. Yeah, Rosarito Beach. That was a nice beach. That was a nice place to go to. Nice hangout spot. Also in Baja Norte. Also, I went to Veracruz. Yeah, Veracruz. So, as I told you earlier, I'm interested in history. I have a degree in history. One of my degrees, one of my 4 degrees I have is in history. And there was a town. It's called Yenga, or El Yenga. And in that town, the name Yenga pays homage to Yenga Gaspar. He was an African who was, by a number of historians, to be said to be a chief of the Gabon people in Central Africa. And he was taken from Central Africa and brought to the Americas. And he was enslaved by the Spanish, but not for long, because he had that warrior spirit in him, that chief-like regal spirit in him, and he couldn't stand being in chain, and so he escaped his captors with a number of other slaves in the 1700s, and they moved to a city which is now called Yenga. They moved around, but specifically they stayed in a city called Yenga, and then from there they would survive by agriculture, and then also robbing the colonizers of some of their goods, the Spanish, of some of their goods. Is a important part of Mexican history. Is honored by the Mexican government. The Mexican government acknowledges Yanga for his contributions to Mexico, and then also being a man that would not refuse to be controlled or colonized. It was an important part. His history is an important part of Mexican and then Spanish history, uh, because his ability to gain sovereignty for himself and then also his people was unprecedented at that time. There was a set of wars that went on for over 9 years, to where a treaty was made that Yanga would not be bothered. He couldn't go around saving other black people, other slaves, but he was able to create a city to where him and his people would not be bothered by the Spanish. So I had to go there. I had to go to Yanga, especially being a black man that descends from the Chatelaino slave trade. Primarily because so much history is not talked about, especially in America. You don't hear about Yanga, because why would they want you to know about a man who, during the height of colonialism planet-wide, refused to be colonized and was able to beat the Spanish, which was unprecedented at that time, with his limited resources, but he was able to beat the Spanish at that time. And is a very empowering experience. There's a big statue of him. I actually have it on my Instagram of Yanga that the Mexican government created to honor and pay homage to what he did. And it is definitely a sight to see. The city was named a different name prior to, I believe, to the 1930s, but there was a time period in the early to mid 1900s where the Mexican government wanted to honor a number of different people that were prominent in their history, to include Yanga, and that wasn't honored, obviously because of the promotion of the conquest of the world by the Spanish. But as people became more knowledge and in tune with their history, they started doing that, acknowledging people such as him. So it was really an empowering experience, and most notably, it was empowering because he, through all of that, seeing all that death and destruction, he remembered who he was. When I think of Yanga, I think of the great president in Burkina Faso, President Ibrahim. He is a man who is going against all odds. The French, just like the Mexican people went against the French and beat them, he's currently dealing with the French right now because they don't want to give up that money, all that money that's in Burkina Faso that they been stealing for centuries, and he, through attempted assassinations and so forth, he's been standing his ground for his people, and Yanga was the same way. And so, yeah, man, it was a really empowering experience. I enjoyed going there and seeing that. And yeah, it was really cool, really, really cool. I would encourage all people of the African diaspora, you got to make a trip to Yanga and Veracruz and really soak up that history, because it is a very important part of the African diaspora experience. Other places I went to the usual fare that's popular in Mexico, Cancun. I went back to the Hotel Zone for a little bit. Also, I went to Playa del Carmen. I went to the Yucatan, throughout the cities there, Merida and so forth. Then I went to Guadalajara, and yeah, man, it was. I went to a place called, I always pronounce his name wrong. I went to San Miguel, and then also I went to a city called Querétaro. Yeah, Querétaro. Is a prominent and affluent city north of Mexico City, about 2 hours north, and it's really cool. They have a number of different mines. They have this bridge where water would be brought into the city, and it was a prominent place where I think it was like a stronghold for the Mexican people when they were fighting the French, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a really cool city. They have, uh, like most Mexican cities, they have an area, a central area where they have the Spanish colonial architecture there, and that's where you have like a lot of the food and popular restaurants in the area. And yeah, it's definitely a cool place to check out. It's also considered a very safe city to check out. So if you are a person that's looking to come to Mexico and you want to maybe not be in the too thick in the weeds of a Mexico City, Querétaro is a good place where a lot of people go to move to, and yeah, a lot of people like it. And that speak on moving to Mexico is a big issue, just like everywhere else around the world. Gentrification, like where I'm from in Maryland, Baltimore, and yeah, the pilgrims, they come in and they want to move into like Baltimore, Washington D.C. because they want to get they want to get a cheap deal because they plan to make money off of the place in the future, or they want to be close by their job. They kick the locals out. Same things happen in Mexico City and certain parts of the Mexico, just like in Panama and all around the world, right? And so it's raising the prices up for the locals. So there's been some issues with that, um, and a lot of people, they don't like that, which is totally understandable. And then, of course, not just that. You have a lot of these people that's from so-called first world countries, and they're elitists, and they think they're better than the local people, and they treat them poorly, and so there's been a lot of protests about that, rightfully so, because you shouldn't come to my house and treat them poorly, right? And the reason I'm bringing that up is because, you know, people should really evolve past this whole need to be pretend they're better than other people. Most of these people, like from Canada, America, they probably was, couldn't hack it where they was at, or losers, and it's cheap. They come to like places like Mexico or Costa Rica because it's cheaper, right, for them because they can make the USD. But to then come to the place and then treat the people poorly it's just lousy. It's really lousy, and it gives America a bad name. There's already some issues going on with certain people in politics that is really making Americans look bad, which can make things unsafe for Americans. So I bring all this up, and Canadians too. So I bring all this up because be mindful how you treat people, right? Because you never know how you treat people can come back onto you, and then also it leaves a bad stain in the minds of the locals, which can affect you in the future. It's easy to be kind. There's no excuse to be a jerk to people, and you should be mindful, specifically for a lot of Westerners, or Westerners. This is the West too, but for a lot of people from certain countries like America or Germany or Canada, mostly American Canadians, just be mindful how you treat people, man. Because I see it when I'm traveling. It's like, Jesus Christ, like you're coming to a country on a vacation, you're angry. That makes no sense. Just be mindful. Let's see. Mexico, specifically in Ciudad de Mexico, they have there's a lot of history there, right? So I grew up watching pro wrestling, and one of the popular cultural aspects of Mexican culture is lucha libre. I remember watching Rey Mysterio when I was a kid. Man, he used to do all these high flying tricks and moves, and it was like, man, that guy is something else. I later found his father was a very famous lucha libre, and yeah, it's always a treat to see him. I went to it's called the Arena in Ciudad de Mexico, watched the wrestling, and it is definitely a great experience. And it's one thing to watch on TV, right? But when you see these guys jump off the top rope and doing the Hurricanrana or the Frankenstein, whatever you're calling it, or doing all these like moonsaults and all these acrobatic maneuvers that, is like out of this world. It is a cool experience. They hold these lucha libre events throughout the week, most notably on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. They do one at, I believe, the arena, and then they do another arena. I forgot the name of it. It's not too far away from Roma Norte, and it is definitely something that you really want to experience if you're in Mexico City or also in Guadalajara, which is a popular place for lucha libre as well. The food, right? So Mexico is one of their cuisine is some of the most popular on the planet, akin to Italian food, Thai food, etc. Right? So Japanese food, and they have all that here, there in Mexico, and then also Mexico has these, like for instance, outside of the wrestling event, they have taco stands, makeshift taco stands, and food's really cheap. It doesn't cost much money at all, and you can have various types of tacos. You can have, they have, like for me, I'm vegan, so they have like cactus tacos. You can also have, they have like, carne pollo, or meat, red meat, or chicken tacos that you can have, and it's really dirt cheap, like 50 pesos, and you get yourself a beer and so forth. And it's really an interesting aspect of Mexican culture that people, in addition to getting really affordable street food, is also a social event. People go, whether they're going from a club or a nightlife area or a wrestling event, they use that time to actually, consume food and then also socialize. So really, really cool experience. I definitely recommend to try the street food. And then also, street food is also a part of a lot of tours in places like Mexico City. Airbnb Experience and Viator has various like street food tours that you can go try out the food there, and I definitely recommend it because you really get to, and it's not just about the food, it's about the culture and the experience. You get to see how people socialize and interact in Mexico City specifically, and then also they have this in Guadalajara as well, and other various cities throughout the country. Most notably in some of the more touristy spots, Cancun or Los Cabos, from what I've seen, if I'm not mistaken. But it is a really cool experience. Because you get to see how people socialize, and you get to, instead of like going off of what you see on TV or word of mouth, you get to see how people interact, which is in some cases can be a little bit different than some other places, specifically with regards to the warmth and affectionate energy of the people. It's really a great experience just to feel that energy, that mana that I talked about earlier in the video, or vibe, the vibrations, the vibe, how the people vibe, which is popular in youth Western culture. Other things to note. Man, the weather. So the reason I like Mexico is because the weather, right? In many parts of the country, Mexico City's not always the greatest weather. It's in the mountains up north. I remember one time I was doing jiu-jitsu. So I'm a practitioner of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I was doing it. I was noticing, like, when I was in the gym, it was like only like the second or third sparring person I sparred against. I was so tired. I don't normally get that tired that quick. I was like, what is going on with me? Later, the teacher, he told me later on that I'm high in the mountain. We're high in the mountains, and it's actually at a higher altitude than Denver, Colorado. As you know, a lot of athletes, particularly football athletes, they have sickle cell or they have some medical issue. It's hard to really move around as efficiently. They had to get used to the weather in Denver, Colorado, and Mexico City is no different. So when I was sparring, I was getting tired very quickly. He noticed that, and he later told me, "Oh yeah, a lot of people they get tired when they first come here. They haven't done jiu-jitsu here," and it was a very much a learning experience. I didn't know that Mexico City was high in the mountains, and with that, you don't necessarily have like a sunny vibe all the time as you would in places like Cancun or Merida or Rosarito Beach and Baja California, Norte or Sur. But for the most part, many parts, it being so close to the equator, many states in the Republic of Mexico has very warm weather, and it's definitely a good time to actually be in the state, the various states, and enjoy that aspect of it. In addition to the food, and then also the cost of living. So I was talking about a lot of gentrification going on early in the video, but the cost of living is really, really affordable. Mexico and Costa Rica is a popular place where a lot of people from United States of America, UK, Canada go to, but also the cost of living is akin to Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia has a lot of places that people go to for affordable cost of living, like Thailand, the Philippines, Vietnam, and I hear Indonesia as well, right, Richie? And it's really it really makes life easier, when things are more affordable. You can do more, right? So, and then also it's not just with material matters, but also with per se, but with like medical treatment is much more affordable in places like Mexico, like to get your teeth clean, which I'll be doing soon, and then also. In addition to that, like other various medical procedures is very popular to get done in places like Mexico because of the cost of living, the cost of medical treatment. So it's very much a perk to take part in if you are a traveler, and also if you're an expat that's relocated. So yeah, I mean, those are some of the places I went to the past several months. I wanted to check in because I haven't checked in so long, and I will be checking in a lot more. I know I said that previously, but I've been rearranging some personal matters and business matters that I've been working on the past couple months, and that is completed. So I will be checking in or doing more lives as time goes on, and it has always been a pleasure. These places that I spoke of, Hawaii, South Korea, Mexico, these are definitely amazing. All three are amazing places to check out as far as the wonders of the world is concerned. All three places has rich history, whether the Polynesian people and the Hawaiian people of Hawaii, the people of South Korea and their history, from the Korean War, their engagements with American culture, then also the rich martial art history that they have there with Taekwondo and, if I'm not mistaken, Hapkido. If you're into martial arts and self-defense, definitely something that you want to check out there. The DMZ zone, piggybacking back to the Korean War and the history behind that. And then also Mexico, and it's, of course, amazing history, amazing people, and great food as well, right? So yes, it is all three places. When you get a chance, you want to check it out for those travel enthusiasts. And I would say it is a great time. And when you check it out, I know you'll love it. All right, so that's going to conclude this live for today. Once again, as always, it's been a pleasure. Motivational Movement, signing out. Peace.